Progress isn't about giant leaps, it's about small, consistent steps. Every day presents a new opportunity to move forward no matter the challenges we face. The secret lies not in waiting for the perfect moment, but in making the most of the present one. Whether it's improving a skill, building a habit, or simply showing up with the right mindset, the key is persistence. Today, let's explore how we can make meaningful progress every single day, no matter what stands in our way. That you are capable. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you reinforce your identity as someone who does what they say. This is how real confidence is built, not from external validation, but from the quiet certainty that you can rely on yourself. Life isn't going to slow down for you. It won't wait for the right circumstances, the perfect mood, or the ideal conditions. It moves forward regardless, and your only choice is whether you move with it or get left behind. The key isn't in making huge leaps overnight, but in making small, consistent steps every single day. The biggest changes in life don't come from one defining moment or a single stroke of luck. They come from the little things, the daily habits, the tiny disciplines, the small efforts that compound over time. Yet so many people sit around waiting for motivation to strike, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until they feel ready. But here's the truth. Motivation is fleeting, the perfect time almost never arrives, and feeling ready is an illusion. The people who achieve the most in life aren't the ones who had the best starting point. They're the ones who found a way to make progress despite the challenges in front of them. So how do you do that? How do you keep moving forward when you're exhausted, when life feels overwhelming, or when the results seem painfully slow? That's what we're diving into, not abstract ideas, but real, practical strategies to ensure that every single day counts. Because at the end of it all, progress isn't just about circumstances, it's a choice. And once you understand how momentum works, once you learn how to create it daily, nothing can hold you back. The first step, stop negotiating with yourself. Most people start their day debating with their own mind. Should I get up now or hit snooze? Should I go to the gym or skip it? Should I work on my goals or push them off? But here's the problem. When you give yourself an option, you give yourself an excuse. Discipline isn't about doing things only when you feel like it. It's about committing and following through no matter what. The most successful people don't spend time questioning whether they should act. They just do, because when you start your day negotiating, you're already losing. The mind will always look for the easiest way out. It will always choose comfort over challenge. That's why relying on motivation alone doesn't work. Here's the key. The first choice you make in the morning sets the tone for the entire day. Win the morning and you create momentum. Lose the morning and excuses become that much easier to make. So how do you take control? You make your standards non-negotiable, not optional, not dependent on how you feel, just part of who you are. You wake up at the time you said you would, you move your body even when it's the last thing you want to do, you work on your goals even if no one is watching. And over time, something powerful happens, you build self-respect. Confidence doesn't come from talent or luck, it comes from trust. Do you trust yourself to follow through? Most people don't. They've broken so many promises to themselves that they don't even believe their own words anymore. But here's the good news. You can rebuild that trust. Every single time you do what you said you would, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that you are capable. And that is where true progress begins. They skip it. If they're not in the mood to work on their goals, they put it off. But progress isn't about feelings, it's about commitment. You don't wait until you feel like it, you do it because it's who you are. And here's the thing, the all or no thing mindset is one of the biggest killers of progress. It convinces you that if you can't do something perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. But life isn't perfect. Circumstances change. And if your success depends on everything going exactly right, you're setting yourself up to fail. The key to making progress every day is understanding that something is always better than nothing. If you don't have time for a full workout, do 10 minutes. If you can't read for an hour, read for 5 minutes. If you don't feel like working on your business, make just one phone call, send one email. Progress isn't about perfection, it's about movement. And even the smallest step forward keeps you in motion. Think about it this way. If you improve by just 1% every day, you won't be 365% better in a year. You'll be over 37 times better. That's the power of compounding. Small actions repeated consistently create unstoppable momentum over time. But there's one more crucial piece to all of this. Your focus. Because what you focus on expands. Most people waste time worrying about things they can't control. They focus on what's missing, on what's wrong, and where does that energy go? Nowhere. The people who make progress, no matter what, they focus on what they can do. They put their attention on solutions, not problems. So ask yourself, what are you focusing on every day? Are you dwelling on what you can't change? Or are you actively looking for ways to move forward? Because progress isn't about luck, it's about choice. Momentum is a powerful thing. Once you start moving, it gets easier to keep moving. But most people never reach that breakthrough because they hesitate. And hesitation is a killer. It doesn't just slow you down, it stops you entirely. Think about the times in life when you hesitated. Maybe you wanted to speak up, but you waited too long and the moment passed. Maybe you had an opportunity but second-guessed yourself and suddenly it was gone. Progress requires decisiveness, not perfect decisions, just decision. You don't need to have everything figured out to move forward. You just need to take the next step. And the best way to beat hesitation, shorten the gap between thought and action. The longer you think about doing something, the more likely you are to talk yourself out of it. So stop overanalyzing. If you decide to do something, act immediately. Count down from 5 and move. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't let fear creep in. Just go, because here's the truth. Action builds confidence, not the other way around. Most people think they need to feel confident before they act, but confidence comes from doing. The more you take action, the better you get. The better you get, the more confident you become. If you want to make progress every day, you have to train yourself to act despite fear. You have to embrace discomfort, because everything you want exists on the other side of it. Think about a rocket launching into space. It burns the most fuel in the first few minutes, breaking through the atmosphere. But once it's past that point, it moves effortlessly. That's how progress works. The hardest part is getting started. But once you push through that initial resistance, things become easier. And that's why discipline matters. Because discipline carries you when motivation fades. Motivation is like a spark. It gets you going, but it's not enough to keep the fire burning. Discipline is the fuel that keeps it alive. So how do you build discipline? By keeping your word to yourself, by doing the hard things even when you don't feel like it. Every time you push through discomfort, you get stronger. You train your mind to follow through no matter what. And here's the secret: discipline is built through repetition. The more you do something, the easier it gets. The first time you wake up early, it's hard. The 10th time, it's easier. The 100th time, it's automatic. But what about those days when you don't feel like doing it, when you're tired, distracted, or unmotivated? That's when you have to remove emotion from the equation. Most people let their feelings dictate their actions. If they don't feel like working out, they skip it. If they're not in the mood to work on their goals, they procrastinate. But progress isn't about how you feel in the moment. It's about the choices you make regardless of how you feel. And once you master that, nothing can stop you. But that's when resilience matters most. Success isn't about avoiding obstacles, it's about pushing through them. The people who make the most progress aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to quit. When things go wrong, most people see it as a sign to stop. They let one bad day turn into a bad week, then a bad month, until they completely fall off track. But setbacks aren't the end of the road. They're part of the process. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is the ability to get back up, adjust, and keep moving forward. The truth is, progress isn't about how fast you move. It's about staying in motion, even on the hard days, even when motivation is gone, even when everything feels like it's working against you. That's why commitment matters more than feelings. Feelings come and go, but consistency is what produces results. So ask yourself, what small action can you take right now to move forward? Because progress isn't a one-time event, it's a habit. It's not about making huge leaps overnight, it's about moving in the right direction step by step. The challenge is that we live in a world obsessed with instant results. People want shortcuts, quick fixes, and overnight success. But that's not how real growth happens. True success is built through steady, daily improvement. And if you commit to getting just 1% better every day, those small gains will compound over time. You won't just be a little better, you'll be exponentially better. That's how mastery is achieved. Now, let's talk about something that holds many people back: overcomplication. Some people never make progress because they overthink every step. They plan, research, and analyze, but they never actually take action. They convince themselves they need the perfect strategy, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions, but perfection is a trap. It keeps you stuck. Success isn't about knowing everything in advance. It's about moving forward with what you know now. Clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. The more steps you take, the clearer the path becomes. Think about driving at night. Your headlights only illuminate a few feet ahead, but that's enough to keep moving. You don't need to see the entire road. You just need to take the next step. If you want to make progress every day, you need a clear target. Most people don't struggle with discipline, they struggle with direction. They wake up without a specific goal, and as a result, they drift. And drifting leads nowhere. Set specific, measurable goals. Don't just say, I want to get in shape. Say, I will exercise for 30 minutes every day. Don't just say, I want to be successful. Say, I will make 5 sales calls today. Clear goals create direction, and direction creates momentum. And here's something powerful: track your progress. Because what gets measured gets improved. If you don't track your actions, you won't know if you're making progress. But here's the trick. Focus on tracking effort, not just results. You can't always control outcomes, but you can control your actions. For example, if you're building a business, you can't control how many people say yes, but you can control how many people you reach out to. If you focus on consistent action, the results will eventually take care of themselves. Another key factor in making daily progress: your environment. Most people don't fail because they lack willpower. They fail because their surroundings make success harder. If you're constantly around negativity, distractions, or excuses, it's going to slow you down. Your environment should pull you toward progress. If you want to be healthier, stock your kitchen with nutritious food. If you want to read more, put books where you can see them. If you want to stay focused, remove distractions from your workspace. Set yourself up to win. And finally, resilience. Because no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how well you plan, life will test you. There will be setbacks, there will be failures, there will be days when nothing goes as expected, but those moments don't define you, your response to them does. Will you let one bad day derail your progress, or will you push through? The most successful people aren't the ones who never struggle, they're the ones who keep going anyway. So when things get tough, when motivation fades, when progress feels slow, remember this: success isn't about being perfect. It's about being relentless. Keep showing up, keep taking action, keep moving forward, because in the end, the only way to fail is to stop. It shapes your mindset, your confidence, and ultimately your results. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, self-doubt, and distractions, it will drain your energy and slow your progress. But if you surround yourself with positivity, inspiration, and people who push you to grow, you'll find it much easier to stay on track. The key is to be intentional about what you allow into your mind. Just like you wouldn't put junk fuel into a high-performance car, you shouldn't fill your mind with junk thoughts. Protect your mental energy the same way you protect your time, because both are essential to progress. Now let's talk about another game changer: momentum. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep going. Think about a heavy train. It takes an enormous amount of force to get it rolling, but once it gains momentum, it's nearly unstoppable. That's how progress works. The hardest part is always the beginning, pushing through the initial resistance, overcoming self-doubt, and breaking the cycle of inaction. But once you start, even the smallest wins create momentum. One good decision leads to another. One productive day sets the tone for the next. That's why consistency is more important than perfection. You don't need to have perfect days, you just need to keep showing up. If you miss a workout, don't miss the next one. If you get off track, don't stay off track. Progress isn't about never failing, it's about never staying stuck. Every day you have a choice. Will I move forward or will I stay where I am? The people who win in life keep moving no matter what. They understand that progress isn't just about taking action, it's about taking the right action. You can work hard every day, but if your efforts aren't aligned with your ultimate vision, you won't get where you want to go. Imagine someone paddling a boat with all their strength, but they're going upstream against the current. They're exhausted, but they're not making real progress. So ask yourself, are my daily actions aligned with my long-term goals? Many people stay busy, but they're not productive. They check off tasks, they keep themselves occupied, but they're not actually moving forward. Real progress isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. And the only way to make sure you're on the right path? Reflection. Most people rush through their days without ever stopping to ask themselves, am I moving in the right direction? The most successful people in the world take time to evaluate, because if you never pause to measure your progress, how will you know if you're on track? Think about a pilot flying a plane. They don't just set a course and forget about it. They constantly check their instruments, adjusting for wind, turbulence, and unexpected changes. You need to do the same with your life. Now let's talk about something most people underestimate: energy management. You can have the best mindset, the best strategy, and the best habits, but if your energy is low, everything feels harder. Most people believe time management is the key to success. But time is useless if you don't have the energy to use it effectively. So ask yourself, what gives me energy? What drains me? Pay attention to your habits, your nutrition, your sleep, your movement. These things matter. You can't expect to perform at a high level if you're constantly exhausted, sluggish, and distracted. Fix that first. Small changes, drinking more water, getting enough rest, moving your body, can make a massive difference. These might seem basic, but they directly impact your ability to focus, work, and make progress every day. And it's not just about physical energy, mental energy is just as important. You must protect your mind just as fiercely as you protect your time, because negativity, doubt, and distractions will drain you faster than anything else. Who are you listening to? What conversations are you engaging in? What kind of thoughts are you feeding your mind? Because here's the truth. Your environment doesn't just influence your productivity, it shapes your future. It affects your beliefs. If you're surrounded by people who make excuses, you'll start making excuses. If you're constantly consuming negativity, you'll start seeing the world through that lens. The energy around you shapes your mindset, and your mindset dictates your results. So protect your energy. Be intentional about who and what you allow into your mind. Your progress depends on it. And finally, let's talk about patience. Because one of the biggest killers of progress is frustration. People quit too soon because they don't see immediate results. They think success should happen overnight, and when it doesn't, they assume they've failed. But that's not how real progress works. Think about a bamboo tree. You plant the seed, you water it, you nurture it. For years, nothing seems to happen. No visible growth, no sign of progress. But beneath the surface, something powerful is taking place. The roots are spreading deep, the foundation is being built, and then, seemingly overnight, the bamboo tree shoots up, growing at an incredible rate. This is how success works. You might not see results right away, but if you stay consistent, if you keep showing up, the breakthrough will come. What looks like an overnight success is really the result of years of unseen effort. So don't get discouraged if things aren't happening as fast as you want. Keep going, because every small step you take is building something bigger than you can see right now. Every day you have a choice: stay the same or move forward. And the people who win, the people who create lasting success, they choose progress every single day. Progress is not a destination, it's a way of life. Most people think they'll finally be happy once they reach their goal. They believe that once they have the success, the money, the recognition, then they'll feel fulfilled. But here's the truth. Fulfillment doesn't come from arriving. It comes from growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. This is why daily progress matters. It keeps you alive, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It gives you a reason to wake up excited. It gives your life momentum, direction, and meaning. Now, let's talk about something that separates those who consistently progress from those who stay stuck: standards. Your standards dictate your life. What you accept, what you tolerate, what you expect from yourself. These things shape your reality. Most people fail to progress because they set their standards too low. They tolerate inconsistency. They accept excuses. They allow themselves to settle. But the people who grow every day, they raise their standards. They don't settle for doing just enough. They don't settle for half-hearted effort. They demand excellence from themselves, not because someone else is watching, but because that's who they choose to be. So ask yourself, what are your standards? Are you holding yourself to the level of discipline, focus, and effort that will lead to real progress? Or are you making excuses? Because at the end of the day, your results will never exceed your standards. And here's something just as important as effort: rest. This might sound contradictory. How can resting help you progress? But here's the truth. You cannot sustain high performance without recovery. Progress is not about working yourself into exhaustion. It's about sustainable effort. It's about knowing when to push and when to recharge. Because if you burn yourself out, you stop making progress. If you're constantly exhausted, your productivity